Hi, you guys. I finished reading another book, Anticancer Living, Transform Your Life and Health with the Mix of Six, and by Lorenzo, Cohen, and Allison, Jeffries. Hey, Sarah. And I just wanted to give you guys all the good information that's in here. And really, if you like the info that I tell, I really like this book to have on hand because there's appendixes in there of like what foods to eat and stuff. If you remember, I did this book already. I talked about this book. They mention this book a lot and then they add to it. And this book was 2009, I believe. This one was written in 2017. So the research is a little newer. They also organize it a little different. So, hey, Angela, thanks for joining. I'm going to just go through my notes because I have a little bit of radiation brain fog. I don't know if that's a thing, but it feels like it. On day 13 of radiation, I don't really feel any side effects. I just have a little bit of like a fog. So something's up. Gotta drink my water and do all that stuff. So this book didn't take long to read. It was interesting. I'm kind of a geek about research, though. I like to read research. The first chapter is all about how lifestyle, the proof that lifestyle can change the outcome of recurrences in a good way. And chapter 2 is all about our healing powers, like how our cells can heal themselves, which I thought was great. They talk a lot about this in this book about synergy, because if you're doing this mix of these six areas in your life that you're going to change, if you change more than one, synergistically, everything will change together a lot better than if you just did one thing. So the mix of six includes social support. They have let me get the glare right. They have social support, managing stress, getting good sleep, which is not talked about in the other book. And then the little green one is diet, because they want you to have a plant-based diet, exercise, and environment. Wait, I did that backwards. Exercise, that's okay. And then environment. So the very first one they talk about is social support, and they say that research shows that is one of the best ways to tell who's going to get better, who's going to have a recurrence, is how much social support they have. We talked about that a little bit in the book by Dr. Funk, where she actually has the website, Pink Lotus, that you can go on and get a buddy. So if you don't have support around you, hopefully this group is supporting you as well, but you can go to pinklotus.com and sign up and get a breast buddy. So I thought that was awesome that she added that to hers, because it does prove to reduce recurrence. I think it was like by 20% or something like that. I don't know, it was big. So some of the beginning of the book, if you like research and genetic stuff, then I think that stuff's interesting, but then sometimes it goes a little too far for me. But I wrote some interesting things down to share with you guys. So they're studying epigenetics now, and they're figuring out how our cells process cancer, why it happens. And they're actually finding out that all of this genetic stuff can be generational. So even if a stressor or a trauma happened to your great grandma, that will change your genetics, and down the line, and you still have that genetics. So for example, they studied Holocaust survivors, and they found that the people that were offspring of those survivors had more PTSD and stress related issues because of their genetics. So the good news is genetics can change. Your environment changes your genetics. So, and it's never too late to change. They even took people in their 80s, 90s. You can change at any age and it will change your genetics. Let's see. So they looked at changing environments and changing how you deal with stress, and that definitely made a difference in your genetics and your disease prevention and all of that. So hopefully that brings it back to this group, like TAT. When you do the TAT poses and you release that stress, that's going to help your your DNA, your genetics get back to normal. They also found out that if your grandparents were exposed to certain chemicals or they lived in an area that was toxic, that changes the genetics and also can be passed down, but that can be changed as well. Our genes are not our destiny. We can change our genes and our destiny and our children's genes by doing the mix of 6 is what they're saying. So connectedness, when they talked about the support being the number one thing, connectedness is what it's all about. Being connected, no isolating. So people with depression, just by nature of that mental health illness, you want to kind of separate from people, and the more you separate, the more you isolate, the worse it gets, right? So this is part of getting better for us, is to keep a good positive attitude, not by just saying I'm going to be positive and always saying happy things, but to not isolate yourself. So if you have energy, get out. If you have if friends are calling and saying, what can I do for you? Say, just come over and hang out with me for a little while. That's honestly, that has been my favorite part of this last year, is that we're bringing back the drop by. All of my friends in the neighborhood that live nearby, and even some that don't live nearby, started dropping by. And I just love it, because there are days where I didn't really feel like getting out of bed after doing a dreamycin, and people would just come by and sit on my bed and hang out. So just reach out to others. If you live somewhere where your friends aren't near you, you get on the internet, talk to them, call somebody, FaceTime. Connectedness counts. If you, if your spouse is there, let them help you. Stress reduction and sleep are big, and we're going to talk about all those in the toxin patrol in our environment. So, okay, so for the first part of the book, they say the key principles of anti-cancer is it's never too early to adopt an anti-cancer lifestyle. Healthy behaviors are contagious. And they're saying that there's this synergistic effect when you do the mix of 6. You will become more joyful. You'll feel differently when you start doing it all. So it's a way of life, not a quick fix. They want you to, continue doing all these things, stress management, eating right, exercising throughout your life, and not just do it now and then stop once you feel better, right? When they talk about support, it reminded me of when I was in college learning about Maslow's hierarchy. Do you guys remember that? It's the little triangle. I drew one. It's a bad drawing. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, of human needs, and belongingness and usefulness are on there. So belongingness is really important to us as human beings to feel better. Of course, the most important things are food, water, air. That's the basic needs. But then, we still need to feel safe. We need to feel needed. We need to feel useful. And they put support as the most important thing. I know I keep saying that. Let's talk about it more. So they say loneliness can be lethal and give you increased sensitivities to social cues. So when you are feeling lonely, you might actually start looking at people's facial cues and reading them in a more negative way. So if someone's tired and they're then you'll kind of, and the more you get out and the more you do stuff, you'll stop doing that. So a little self-awareness is good in that area, because you don't want to separate from people for reasons that are kind of your fault. Okay, so strong social support slows cancer progression because it gives you lower levels of stress hormones that activate cancer cells. So that's really the biggest thing for me probably before my diagnosis is I was eating right, I was exercising, I was not drinking enough water, which we're not talking about now. But the other thing was I had a lot of stress. I was taking care of a sick child and taking care of my dad who had pancreatic cancer, and then he passed away. So the stress is probably one of the dominoes that fell for me to make this happen, the breast cancer happen. They also talk about living a purposeful life and feeling useful. So those of you that work, it's probably helping your health, as long as it's not a really stressful, toxic environment, feeling useful and having a reason to get up and get dressed in the morning is something that's going to help you get better. Let's see. They actually talk about Viktor Frankl, which he was the one I couldn't remember the name of in the last video. He wrote Man's Search for Meaning, and he did logotherapy, where hope is the thing that keeps you healthy. And they quote him and they say, in some way, suffering ceases to be suffering. At the moment, it finds meaning. So if you can find meaning behind your illness and find ways to share with others and help others, that's really helpful. Also, they talk about pets and how having a pet can help you heal because they just love you unconditionally, and love heals, right? Also, the connectedness, they talk about faith as well, and having faith and having that connection with your higher power, and knowing that there's more to all this than just what we see minute by minute in our lives, I think really helps. And also receiving prayers from others, being open to that energy that people, when they say, even on Facebook, when they say, oh, sending prayers, like, let that come, be open to it, get their energy from them that they're sending you. They talk about volunteering as well, which I'm not actually going to do until I feel better, because right now I really want my energy for the things that I do for my kids in my house and getting better. They talk about a little bit, they talk about having a mission, having a goal. And I wanted to share the stuff I did when I first found out. If you haven't noticed already, I do research. When something's wrong, I research, right? I read. That's what makes me feel better. But I have a 3-ring binder, and if I hold it up, a bunch of crap will fall out. But here, I'll hold it up for a second, and then I'll get it out. I actually got a 3-ring binder, and I organized it. It doesn't look organized now. I got printouts of what I should be eating. That made me feel better. It made me feel safer and like I had some control. I also got labels from the nurses, and I wrote on them and stuck them to my infusion. So like, here's one that I didn't actually stick because I probably wrote it differently. I believe in miracles. And then it was right over where the infusion thing went in. But what the book talks about is having a goal, having a mission and a team. Like, know who your team is. That's what they say specifically. Who is your team? Who's your support? So when I did mine, I put my support together. I did switch surgeons, but I don't know if I'm supposed to be putting doctors' names on the internet. But I actually wrote all of my doctors down and my diagnosis, and then what the doctor recommended. And then I wrote down my main support is here. And then every single person that said, oh, I'm going to pray for you, I wrote their names down. That didn't last long because way more people, thank goodness, said they were going to pray for me than this. But this was in the beginning when I was really stressed. So I was, trying to feel more organized and like I had control of things. And you can see Velma's on there. I love Velma. There's Lorraine. You guys have seen videos from her. Dr. Springer is a homeopathic doctor. And then my acupuncturist, Denicia, is on here. Love her. Hi, Denicia. She's in the group too. And my friend Nicole was sending healing to my husband at the beginning. So that's why that was on there. And that's what, it just says to know your team. And I just wanted to share my team because I thought, well, let's show you exactly what I did. And it really, I don't know, getting organized like that really made me feel better. So they actually say to do that in the group. But they say to find out, also put your faith on there, and they want you to put like community support that's on there, and things that motivate you to continue living the mix of 6. So they want that in your journal as well, which I didn't do. But so the next part, they talked about your core values, and there was actually homework on this page that I wanted to show you guys in case you wanted to do it. If you're like a journaler and you like to journal and do things. It says putting your core values in motion. Write down words that you think fit your core values. Limit yourself to no more than 20 words. Edit it down to 10, and then finally get yourself some key phrases, like action words and key phrases. And I will post this page so you don't have to like hurry up and write it down now. But I'll post the page so you can do it. I love little homework assignments that will help me in my healing. Writing things down works for me. Journaling works for me. So yeah, it says here's where it talks about creating your anti-cancer team. I just love this part of the book. I really do. Because I did a lot of these things and they were so helpful. Let's see. Well, they did talk about this and I really feel it. Like I feel it, you know. It says to stay positive, and staying positive can, when everybody's like, just reminded me of like, I have all these gorgeous, amazing friends, right? And they're all like, oh, my hair doesn't look good today. Or like they say like, oh, I'm fat today or whatever. Like I used to do before all this. But then if I said anything about like my situation, they were like, well, you need to stay positive, you know, and it was annoying. I wanted to punch them, or windmill them is what I like to say, because it's funny because I wouldn't actually ever punch any of my friends. But forced optimism, they mentioned it in the book, can actually be toxic and leave us feeling very alone. Like when in that moment when they're like, you know, and I was like, oh my God, I'm getting like white fuzz all over my face. I look terrible. And like, you need to be positive. At least you're alive. That kind of stuff would make me feel like they just didn't want to hear me, or like, I don't know. So I get that whole forced optimism can be toxic and leave us feeling alone. I really do. So they talked about trying to get an authentic way to be positive. And that's why I think the core values exercise is good, because we really have to be genuine and authentic in our quest for health, right? We can't pretend. We can't let the negativity get us. Every day we have to get up and get dressed and have a purpose. And I think the core value statements are really motivating. So I think that's why they added them. They also did research. They talked about research in this part with breast cancer survivors undergoing radiation. They had a group of them do yoga breathing and meditation, and it would improve their health and their outcome. The way they judged their outcome was they were talking about their stress outcome, and they would measure their stress hormones, which are cortisol, epinephrine, and norepinephrine, if I can say it correctly. And so we already know less stress means better health, right? So that breathing, meditation, all of that stuff can lower your stress and really help you move forward on this health journey. They also talked about chronic stress and how it damages our cells, those telomeres that we keep hearing about on all these TED Talks and things, the ends of the shoelaces of our cells or whatever that they talk about. When they are damaged, it can cause cancer in a way that a damaged cell that's multiplying can become cancer. And chronic stress does that. So stress is a big part of this equation. They rarely recommend yoga, Tai Chi, meditation, even cognitive behavioral therapy, where you work with a therapist to change your thinking and change your behavior. That would be the one I did about complaining. The video I did about complaining is a little piece of like cognitive behavioral, where you first start with the awareness, and then you give yourself something to say instead of the complaint. And then that would be kind of cognitive behavioral type therapy. So what else did they say? Oh, staying in nature. So if you live somewhere with something beautiful, like here, we're close to beaches, we're close to a lake. If you can go there and be in nature, that will reduce your stress. But if you can't, just go outside, hear the birds sing, stand near a tree. They also talked about a lot of the people that are having illnesses now have had some type of past trauma, which I think we've mentioned a few times on this site, and that TAP will help you with that too. So that was good to hear. ways to feel empowered. The other thing that I thought was crazy interesting, and I did post the one page of this book, stress cancels out dietary and other benefits to healing. So they did research studies with 2 groups. I'm not sure how they stressed people out, but they stressed one group out, and the one group ate healthy. And then they did not stress the other group out, and that group ate healthy. The stressed out group, the food was processed as if it was junk food. The nutrients weren't used. I don't know how they figured all this out, but I thought that was interesting. And then the same group did some meditation, they calmed down, their stress went away, they ate another healthy meal, and then it actually was processed as a healthy meal. So you can eat all the kale you want. If you're stressed out, it's not gonna give you the full benefits. So got to get that stress down. Got to reach out to others, get the support, get the stress down. Now we're going to talk about sleep. So the rest and recovery, sleep is 1/3 of our lives. We spend that sleeping. Then they talked about the recommended hours of sleep is 7 to 9 hours, and that we really don't value sleep. We don't value rest. We don't value sitting and relaxing in this culture. And as healers on this journey, we need to rest, right? We need that sleep. And we all know, I think every single one of you knows, I've read one of those articles about good sleep habits, right? Go to bed at the same time, no TV or electronics in the bedroom. Bedroom's just for sleep and intimacy. Get comfortable, organic mattresses. If you exercise and get outside during the day, you sleep better at night. They also talked about if you have bad sleep patterns, to use sleeping pills to get yourself back on a healthy sleeping pattern, but that and then wean yourself off the sleeping pills, because deep sleep can't happen while you are taking sleeping pills. So that restorative deep sleep that we need to heal won't happen if you're taking the sleeping pills. I give my family 5-HTP, which is really just tryptophan. If you eat turkey dinners, you know what that is. And that works really well, and that allows deep sleep. So if you need to try something, you cannot take it if you're on an antidepressant. So you might want to ask your doctor before you just take it. I'm not a doctor, but that's what I give my family. Let's see. They also did studies where they took a sun lamp or had people go outside for 30 minutes each morning, and that helped sleep at night too, helped them sleep better at night. Sleep is a vital part of healing. So they even want you to take tape, and like if you have electronics in your room that aren't necessarily on at night, you got to tape that little like Sony light or whatever. They don't want the clock showing in the room. They want no light in the room. I've heard this before, but I like a night light, so I need my night light. They also say no electric blankets, and to get an air filter. So the room is cool and you can sleep better, and it's filtered at night. I guess with electric blankets, and if your temperature is going up and down during the night, which it does, the electric blanket won't keep you comfortable. And not to take naps over 30 minutes a day. Okay, so we all know what good sleep is, right? If you have any other questions on sleep, and they really they think people that meditate will get better sleep as well. So the next section they talked about was wellness. Remember Dr. Was it the first anti-cancer book and Dr. Funk both said to exercise, and then we had in this one it says exactly how much time to exercise for breast cancer reduction and recurrence reduction and all of that. And I can't remember how much it said, but they did say after 4 weeks of regular walking or yoga, your quality of life improves, and that you should do 22 minutes of exercise a day I believe this book said less, like, so any exercise is good, but this one had less time a day. I think it had like an hour a week, and this one's like an hour and a half a week, which is 22 minutes a day. Moving also gets emotions out. Emotions can get trapped in our bodies, which is why TAT works, which is why EMDR works. So, moving and movement gets that out. If you guys do Zumba, or you do dancing, or you do some kind of class where you're moving your body and moving your hips, that actually helps get trauma and emotions out as well. So this one kind of upset me, and I'm going to share it with you guys because I feel it. Like, I really feel those 15 years. So they did a study where they took breast cancer patients before treatment, before chemo, radiation, and hormones. They took their blood, and I know everyone's seen those crime shows where they say, they can tell by the DNA how old someone was, right? So they take breast cancer patients' blood, and beforehand, they were in their 30s, then afterwards, and they had all gained 15 years. So I don't know about you guys, but I see it in my face. I feel it in my joints. I feel those 15 years. The good news is that this mix of 6 is supposed to bring back your biological age to what it was. So they didn't actually follow up with any of those women. I wish they would have, to see if lifestyle gave them back their 15 years. But I want my 15 years back. I don't know about you guys. So let's see what else. There's other ways to exercise. If you don't like exercising, they talk about gardening, swimming, things that don't necessarily feel like exercise as long as you're moving. They also talked about those, wearing the Fitbits or the pedometer or whatever. And they talked about monitoring your steps. And even if you're exercising 22 minutes a day, try to get more steps in. Now, when I was doing chemo, like during the chemo, there's no way I could get 10,000 steps in. I was glad to just take my steps to the bathroom and back to bed on some days. So obviously do what you can on the days you can. A lot of women have posted about how even if they were tired, they worked out a little bit and it made them feel better. But I didn't have that same experience because the chemo kicked my butt. But going forward, I'm working out now, so that's good. It also says don't sit too long. So if you're at a job where you sit, set a timer, get up every hour, walk around, floss, do whatever. Floss is that little dance. My kids do that at school. They get up and do the floss, and then the teachers yell at them. Okay, so the next thing they talked about was food, and I think after all of these books, we can just say plant-based is king. All of them like the plant-based diets, no sugar, eat the rainbow, food is better than supplements, eating healthy foods together does more than, so they did these studies where they took 2 different good for you foods and they ate them together, and the benefits somehow were like 10 times more than just eating them separately. So like they tested women that drank green tea and ate mushrooms, and it was amazing. So the more healthy foods we eat together, the better. This book doesn't like supplements, so they really want you to eat a lot. They also talked about soy, just like Dr. Funk did, where soy is actually great for you and fights cancer. Another little thing that I want to share, because it's very important, this book states while you are in chemo and radiation, you need more protein. So a female about 130 pounds needs 70 grams of protein while in treatment to replace those cells that were getting killed off by the treatment. So they want you to eat 70 grams of protein a day. And if you want more info on that, because I think that's really helpful if you're in treatment, let me know. If you're not in treatment, they say 47 grams a day of protein is good. And they talked about quinoa, beans, soy, like edamame and soy milk, all natural stuff are good. They also talked about cooking with oil, and I am guilty of this. I know, but I have not replaced my oil yet. I only use olive oil to cook. And they say cooking olive oil on high temperatures is a no-no, that it makes it unhealthy. So you need to get avocado and canola oil for cooking on high temperatures. I need to get it, not you. Okay. So the last mix of 6, the last one is environment. Get the chemicals out of your home. I think a lot of you are all doing this anyway. It's just kind of natural to want to clean up your whole environment when you're going through this. And so the steps that they want you to take is to reduce household chemical exposures. Get those organic cleaners. Filter your water and air. I have a Berkey filter. Love it. Really easy to use. I just stick it by the sink and fill up the top whenever it's out, and the water is really yummy that comes out of it. And you only need to replace the filters every 1,500 gallons, so that'll be a while. They want you to reduce toxic things that go on your body, so all the lotions, cosmetics, all that stuff. I use Beauty Counter and Andalou. If you guys share what you use, there's a bunch of them that are good. There's some of them that are not so good. I'm still trying to find a good UV sunscreen to use, because I tried Aubrey and Andalou and I didn't like either one, and I don't think it kept me from getting sun. So let's see. And they want you to reduce toxins that go in your body. And they want you that, I think toothpaste is also a biggie for me. I'm not able to find a good toothpaste that my kids will actually use. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know. They want you to take your shoes off at the door, because people spray so many chemicals on their lawns, and you go in buildings where there's chemicals on the floors. So take your shoes off at the door. No pesticides. When you buy something new for your home, they want you to leave it outside and let it air out. Get those VOCs out of it before you bring it in the home. They talked about vinegar as a cleaning product, but there's lots of really good cleaning products that don't smell like vinegar, which I'm sure my husband would like me to find, because he's not enjoying the vinegar smell when I do the floors. They say to get a HEPA vacuum and get rid of all your scented candles, Glade plugins, anything like that. If you're not allergic, essential oils are amazing, and you can just get a diffuser and do that. They also want us to use low VOC paints and add houseplants. There is an appendix in this book that's really good for all the environmental stuff too, and the foods. You can look up food. They talked about, at the end, they talked about lapses and relapses. So if you lapse in your diet, that's just like oops, I had some pizza, or oops, I had a piece of cake on someone's birthday. But they're talking about, like, once you start to feel better and you're not as scared and you're not as anxious about a recurrence or having cancer, then you will start to go back to your old ways. And that's when they really want us to get rid of that guilt and shame about it and just get back on to that mix of 6. And that's really something that TAT can help too. So put that in your TAT, that you won't give up. So I hope this was helpful. There's so much good stuff in here. This is actually one I would recommend you buy. The Dr. Funk one, you don't really need to buy it. This one I would buy more for the appendixes that you can look stuff up in than anything. And as usual, if you have any questions or you want me to look anything up for you, I will. I hope this was helpful. And I think the next book I'm reading, I don't know yet. You guys tell me what to read next. And we're going to do the beauty book. Lavita's going to do that for me, my new friend. And I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.